Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn and I'm joined by my best good buddy, Mr. Nick Miller. Nick, how you doing? It's a big week and today is a very big day for those that are listening as we drop this. Lots of stuff going on, lots of really exciting things going on in the How to Film Weddings world. It's our Super Bowl week, even though like later this weekend is the Super Bowl. We don't want to talk about that yet.
Super Bowl week. Yeah,
right. But it's our Super Bowl week first. We got dibs.
We did. Sure. So, yes, as you have probably seen, it is Mastermind week. John and I believe that Mastermind is the best thing that we do here at How to Film Weddings. If you don't know about it, if you hadn't heard about it, it is a year-long program where we meet every single week on Zoom. John and I are teaching. We have a curriculum laid out over at howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind if you'd like to check that out. We're up to, we added a couple of bonuses in. We're up to 14, 15 guest speakers that are going to be coming in that you're going to be learning from. And then at the end of it all, we have this really big, awesome retreat in Scottsdale, Arizona, which will be in January of 2025. And then there's the community aspect of it where you get to connect with other filmmakers from all over the country and in some cases all over the world, and referrals and relationships and a lot of intangible stuff that it's really hard to explain unless you're a part of it. But we are so excited. And today is the last day to apply to be a part of Mastermind.
Okay, so one thing that's been really cool. So we opened the doors for Mastermind the first time. This is coming up on our 4th year of doing this. And we fine-tuned a lot of different things. We wrote out a full curriculum for this year, and it's like we're walking through a system. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But one thing that I'm just really excited about is Nick and I, we record this podcast. I'm in my office. He's in his office. We're just talking to each other. That's it. We don't get to talk to people. We're just like, hope people like this. I hope people enjoy this. So when we opened Mastermind and started getting like feedback in real time from people and being able to talk with them and see that community and see the impact we were having, it was really life-changing. And this past week, we opened the doors for the 2024 class. And what happens when we do that is there's an application process. And from there, if people have questions or they just want to chat, me and Nick are hopping on Zoom calls with people or FaceTime calls or phone calls. And it's so much fun to get to meet so many new people. And I get all fired up and motivated because the people that are joining are, number one, they're investing into themselves, which is awesome. But number two, they're just ready to go. Like you can just feel the excitement that they have. And I'm meeting people from all over the world that are joining this group. And I can just feel the energy of I'm no longer sitting alone in my office or my extra bedroom at my house or whatever editing. Once a week, I'm going to be able to get that shot in the arm and connect with wedding filmmakers all over the world, to have the accountability of John and Nick, to have the ability to have access to these guest speakers and this curriculum. And I can just see the life change. After 3 years, Nick, we've had 200 people go through Mastermind at this point, and countless testimonials of people saying, I was going to quit my job. This was my last ditch effort. I decided to do Mastermind, and now I'm charging $7,000 or whatever it is. And impact is why we do How to Film Weddings, and why Nick said this is the best thing we do. It's because we have the most impact when we have people that we're building a relationship with all year long. So if you're on the fence about Mastermind, I would encourage you just go over and apply. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to apply and just see what happens. We're happy to hop on a Zoom call today or whatever, or early part of this week if you have any questions about it. So head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind. Nick, I have been talking for a second. I'm going to throw it back over to you if you have any final thoughts on Mastermind before we get into today's episode.
No, I think that there's a lot of people that may be questioning if it's for them, or some questions about pricing or that kind of stuff, and maybe you don't understand what it goes or whatever, but you're kind of like on that fence. Like the thing that we just apply. And then you can get in and you can talk with us. You can email us. You can communicate with us just a little bit so you can learn a little bit more. I think there might be a fear of the unknown, or I don't know how this process works, or I don't know how things are going to work. But how it works is you apply, we accept you, then we connect with you, and then we follow up with you. And John and I have been saying through all these calls and stuff, we're not trying to twist your arm. We're not trying to make you do this. We're not going to beat it over your head. And there's been a few people that I know John has like said, hey, I'm not sure this is right for you. And like we're honest, but there are several people that we know this is going to be a great program for them. So if you're kind of on the fence about, man, I don't know if this is right for me, and I think there's a lot of people in our world like, I don't know if this is right for me, so I'm just going to skip it altogether rather than digging a little bit deeper and finding out. So just apply, and you can talk with us, and then you can make that decision after you have a little bit more information. So again, the website, howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind. There's probably a QR code on screen that I put up there later. Future editing, Nick Blake will take care of that. So anyway, okay, now let's talk about some more good stuff. The things. Yes.
So here's the thing that I'm realizing, and I'm in the middle of reading again the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's amazing, and I'm excited to have our mastermind students go through it early in the year. But a quote that I read this morning, and I think it was really important, he said, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." And I thought that was really great. I'm going to read it one more time. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So I wanted to talk today about why people are not hitting their goals. And it coincides really well with Mastermind, because what we're doing is we are creating systems. We're helping you connect the dots of why you are a wedding filmmaker, what drives you. That's different for each and every one of us. I want time freedom. I want to charge a lot. I want to make a lot. I want to create films that inspire me. I want to work with people I love. There's all these different things, and you don't just get that because it's your goal. If you're out there and you say, hey, I want to charge $10,000 for a wedding film, and you wake up and tomorrow are people knocking down your door to charge, to pay you $10,000? No. Why? Because you haven't put a system in place. And that's really important. So you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Yeah, I really like that quote. And it's, it makes me think of, one of my favorite ones that I've mentioned before, hope is not a strategy. And it's the same idea. I remember thinking back, in the 2014, 15, 16, that range. And I was like, I remember writing down a goal at the beginning of the year in January. It's like, I want to make $5,000 as a wedding filmmaker, but that was it. It's like Michael Scott with the 40-day plan. Okay, day 40, the business is saved. What's day 39? What's it like? We don't know. We start at the end, which is a good idea, right? Like I know one thing that John and I talk about whenever we're planning videos and content and things we want to do. He's like, let's start at the end and figure out where we want to go, and then we can reverse engineer it. But I think a lot of people, they don't like the reverse engineering side of things. It's here's the goal, here's the thing that I want, and then they just hope that it happens, right? There's no action step, there's no follow through, or there is follow through, but maybe the things that they're following through on are not actually the thing that's going to get them where they want to go, right? It's like, oh, I need to make $10,000 as a wedding videographer. That's what I want to do. But then they spend absolutely all of their time making pretty reels. And I'm not saying that pretty reels can't get you there, but is that the big catalyst? Is that the big thing that is going to get you from charging $4,000 to $10,000 with that goal in mind? So it's kind of putting those things and figuring out that reverse engineering stuff that you want to do, which can be difficult.
Yeah, I think too, a lot of the things we walk through in our mastermind kind of coincide or correlate with almost hiring a personal trainer and resetting the way that we think, resetting our mindset. If your goal is I want six-pack washboard abs, that's great, but you're going to fall back to the level of your system when things get hard. So if you don't change your mindset towards donuts or when you eat them, or you don't pre-prep your food, or you don't determine that you're an athlete and you're going to hit the gym this many times with this system in place, after a few months at the most of trying to get those washboard abs, when you don't see those, those abs popping through, you're going to grow weary and you're going to discredit yourself and you're going to quit. And so like falling back to the level of our systems, you have to ask yourself, what goals are good to have. Like goals are great to have, but you hire someone like a personal trainer because you want to reach that level of fitness, maybe whatever it is. And what they're going to do for you, hopefully, if they're good, is they're going to hopefully show you a different system to put in place to fall back on whenever you're not feeling like doing the thing. If you're just like, I want to win the Super Bowl, like, and you don't ever practice, you don't ever, lift the weights, like, you're not going to get there. And so I remember about 2014 or 15, I had been 5 or 6 years into business, and I was charging about $3,500, $4,000, and getting the same kinds of weddings over and over and over again. And I just was shooting 50 times a year. I was starting to get tired of it, and I was growing weary. And I had the luxury / handcuffs of I had to make money because I had a lot of student loans. And so it didn't matter the kind of wedding films that I wanted. I just needed money, so I had to keep saying yes. And I had been painted into a corner. And I just remember getting out of some of that debt and finally starting to breathe, and then realizing I can't keep doing this. I can't keep filming 50 weddings a year at $3,000. Something has to change. I want to be a $10,000 wedding filmmaker. I want to change those things. And we're going to walk through some of the things that need to happen in order to get those changes to happen. But Nick, I want to throw it back over to you. How's this hitting you? What's coming to your mind in regards to this whole subject of we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems?
Yeah, I'm thinking about, the one of the biggest things that people fall short on is the consistency. It's like talking about working out is really easy, right? Like it just kind of, I think it's a thing that people can understand in putting in the context of all of this, right? And it's like, if you only work out whenever you feel like it, when you're motivated to do it, whenever you actually want to go to the gym, or you want to eat healthy, or you want to eat, like, you're only going to go so far. Because I know in my life, I have gone for phases where there's been a month, 2 month, 3 month stretch where I'm like very highly motivated and I want to do it. But then one thing happens, and then it's like, now I'm in a 6 week, 6 month downward spiral in a time where I'm not motivated to do it, in a time where I don't necessarily want to do it. And so having a plan, having a system, being disciplined in achieving your goals is going to get you way further than being motivated, or that I want to do it, or that you're inspired. The idea that consistency compounds, where you do one thing over and over again. We're coming back to this like $10,000 video filmmaker. Like, I want to make $10,000 wedding, which I think is a great goal for so many people. And the thing, and another thing that I've heard before, that I heard a trainer say, is that most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10. Okay, you could even cut that number into 5, or you could cut that year into 3, something like that kind of idea. And I think one of the things about John and I have realized in doing this business for a decade plus each is, I want to be a $10,000 wedding filmmaker. Whenever you make that decision, it might actually take you 1, 2, 3 years to do that. Okay.
Or more.
Or more. Like it can take you some time. But the thing that I'm thinking about with that is, John, I say, I want to be a $10,000, filmmaker. Okay. I've been there, but you know what I've also done? Like, I have done weddings where I got paid 12 and 13 and 14 and 15, more than that. John is sitting here and he can talk about this massive big wedding that he just booked, earlier, a couple months ago, where it is leaps and bounds above that $10,000 mark. And it's like, you decide now in 2024, I want to hit this goal, and you're so excited about it and you want to do it. But then we get discouraged because it doesn't happen in the 4 months, the 5 months, the 6 months after we said this. But so we veer off the path. The system falls apart. The thing that we were doing that was starting to get us there, because the thing that we wanted didn't happen in the time frame that we wanted. But if you kept down that path, then maybe you don't hit the 10K mark, maybe you hit the 20 or the 25 or the 30. All of these things can happen because we overestimate what we can do in one year instead of thinking a little bit longer term. So as you were talking about that, that's kind of where what hit me.
It made me think of a quote that from John Maxwell that I really love, and it's kind of how I've built my life around this. He says, "Small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time." And I think that that's really what I want to hit on today is those small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. Another thing he said, which I really liked, is like, you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine.
That's really good. That's really good.
I love John Maxwell. And I don't know. I just think that like people think, oh, and we've been using this 10K wedding film. Maybe that doesn't, make you excited at all. Maybe it's, I want to win Wedding Filmmaker of the Year, or I want to create something that is awarded, or maybe it's more about your time freedom, or maybe, man, I don't want to work my day job anymore, or whatever that is. You can't just say that's my goal and not have a small discipline that's repeated with consistency every day. And back to my story where I was at in life, I was frustrated that other people were doing things and making more than me. I would see wedding filmmakers come into the industry and they're charging 5, 10, 15K. And I'm like, what in the heck is wrong with me? I've been doing this way longer. There's got to be something wrong with them. They're cheating. You start to want to like make the excuse. And I realized I hadn't changed my mindset. I hadn't changed my system, and I didn't rise to the level of my goals. I fell back to the level of my systems, and my system was book everybody that wants, has a pulse and wants to say yes. Just book weddings. We can add more shooters. We can add more editors. And I was going down this path, where I was climbing a ladder that was leaned up against the wrong wall. And when I got to the top of that ladder, I had 9 employees. Our business was making $500,000 a year, but we were spending $500,000 a year. And I was working more than ever. Yeah, I was getting paid like a 6-figure salary, which was great, but I wasn't happy with where I wanted to go. And I never took the time to set up the proper goals and then figure out what systems needed to be in place. And so about 2014 or so, I just remember being so frustrated and thinking, there's got to be something different. And so I really started to look into where I wanted to head and what goals I wanted to have. I started to talk to mentors, and I started to realize that like I wanted to be that $10,000 luxury wedding filmmaker. And so instead of saying, I want to get those abs, in my business, I said, okay, in 3 years, I want to have those abs. What do I need to do today? In 5 years, what daily tasks do I need to do? I changed the daily task so that I could reach those goals. And I started to realize and look at who around me was charging that much. What were they doing? What did their website look like? What did their films look like? Who was in their Rolodex, or who was on their networking list, or what were they wearing to, like everything. And I decided I am that. That's not my goal. I am that. And thinking about like the whole analogy of hiring a trainer or trying to get 6-pack abs, it's not like, hey, I'm going to go get 6-pack abs. It was, I'm an athlete. Would an athlete do that thing? Would an athlete eat that donut right now? Would an athlete be training today? Would they be stretching today? Would they be rolling out and getting their muscles ready and drinking enough water, and all these little daily decisions that started to be made? And it didn't happen overnight, but I started submitting to a plan, and I started saying, okay, I can't wear jeans anymore to a wedding. Darn it. I can't wear Chuck Taylors to a wedding anymore. Okay. My website needs actual attention. I need real copy written for my website. I need to really make better connections with people. I need this system. I started finding mentors. I started talking to people that were doing it. And slowly but surely, those small disciplines repeated with consistency every day led to great achievements, but it took time.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is the biggest thing that people don't like is we want it and we want it right now. And it's so hard to play the long game. We think, oh, if I just buy this new camera, it's going to take my films over the top. If I just do this one thing, it's going to land me that big booking. And I'm not like that's another thing. John, what was the book? Good to Great, whenever the guy was talking about the flywheel and he was like, which step was it? He's talking about a big, flywheel that you turn and it gets going and it gets moving faster and faster and faster. And eventually it's just really humming. But to get something massive started rolling, right? It takes time and energy to move it. And so whenever you look back on your business, like if I were to say, "Hey John, what was the one thing that got you where you are today?" He couldn't answer that question because not because there weren't things that he could say, but to point out the one thing that got him where he is today, it's really, really hard to answer that question because there are so many things that we have to do to get it going. And, on some years, John would say, well, it was my attention to website that really got me over the top. Other years, he would say it was the relationships that I built. Other years, it was like, it's whenever I really started pouring into editing films a certain way or something. Like there are steps that happen. And it's never just one thing. And it's really hard to do because as a small business owner, how many things do you have to do to keep your business rolling? How many things do you have to do to keep things going? It's really hard to do all of those things and keep all those plates spinning if you don't have direction and you don't have help. For me, that breaking point, where I started thinking, some of those similar things was in, 2015, 2016, when I was like, I know that the direction that I'm going is not where I want to end up. What do I need to do to do that? And I realized there are things that I don't know. And whenever you understand that you don't know what you don't know, then you can start asking questions of people and start asking for help and say, tell me what you know, and then you can pull from that. And we invested heavily in mentorships. Sarah from Penn Wedding, she did a 1 day long mentorship with me where I went to her house and she just talked and shared a whole lot of me. I did an 8-week mentorship with David from Forestry Films, just online where we would meet. And I learned so much about how I should present myself and how I should run my business. And it really wasn't I did that in like 15 and 16. I did venture in 2017 when I got inspired, but it really wasn't until the fall of 18, the spring of 19, when stuff really started to ramp up and I started charging, that $25 to $3,000 range into $5, $6, $8, $10,000. And if as I said, I can look back and say, this was a catalyst. This was something that sticks out to me, but I can't tell you all of the little things that we did to get it going to where we are now. Have you ever muted a television show or movie and instantly lost any kind of emotional connection with what was going on? Why is that? Simply put, music and sound are half of the experience, and they are an important part of any audience connecting with any kind of emotion to the characters in a film. MusicBed's curated list of bands, artists, and composers is how we have been able to establish an emotional connection to our audience through our wedding films. Additionally, through MusicBed's incredible roster, I am inspired to create, which elevates the stories I am able to tell. Take your projects and films to the next level with MusicBed. Scan the QR code on screen to listen to our playlist of songs that we have used that have helped us connect our audience to our films. Hear the difference for yourself and sign up for a free account at musicbed.com. Use promo code HTFW23 at checkout to receive 1 month free when you purchase an annual subscription.
I really like that, and it is that flywheel that you have to get yourself out of your comfort zone. And if we are growing, we're always going to be out of our comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to grow. And no pain is pleasurable in the moment. But it's like one of those things where it's like, do you want to, it's like I keep hearing the quote, like, choose your hard. Like, do you want your life to be hard now, or do you want it to be hard later? And I think about my daughter Anna this year. She's 13 now, and like 8, 9, about 12 weeks ago now, she was contemplating whether or not she wanted to play basketball. She's not good at it. She's done it from like first to fifth grade. Then she took a couple years off, but this is the first year that it's like underneath the school, like the school is doing it. The coaches are part of the school, and our school is an awesome school with great coaches. And I just knew that like the coaches would be really good mentors to her. I sit in on a meeting, and the head girls basketball coach, our team has gone to the state championship the last few years. There's like diligence and systems, and they work them hard. And I just was sitting there listening to the coach, and like I was taking notes on like how to do my life better. And I was like, my daughter has to be underneath these coaches. Like she has to. And without pushing her and saying you have to do it, we had a lot of talks with her about like, ask like, does future you, and it's the same thing we say here on the podcast, is like, in 4 months, are you going to be happy that you did this? Or are you going to be bummed that you didn't take the chance? And what I watched, she decided to do it. And the first day she got done with the practice, and she came home, she was crying, and she was just like, this is so embarrassing. All these other girls play all these summer league sports. I'm so far behind. And she was like, I really wish I wouldn't have done this. And she was just like, this is not, I was like, hey, first day, it's going to be okay. She kept going back. She kept doing practice. And after like 3 or 4 days, she was like, hey, I'm starting to get the hang of some of this. I'm starting to get the hang of, like the head coach came over and worked just with me and helped me do things and helped me learn how to dribble with my left hand and all these things. And over the course of the 12-week basketball season, which just ended, I watched her go from not confident to so confident. I watched her game go from not very good to good. I watched her make incredible strides for submitting herself to a process and being underneath people that know what they're doing and could give her personal attention. And I don't know what day it was, what practice it was, or whatever, but like, she just changed. Something changed. She was around those mentors. She was around the consistency, and every day she was putting in the work. She started to get more fit. She's in the best shape she's been in. She's really good at shooting 3-pointers now. She's really good at dribbling. She's scoring in games, and like it was such a proud moment. And I asked her yesterday, because now she's considering track, which is the next sport. And I was like, well, let me ask you this question, Anna. I was like, if you called Anna from 3 months ago and told her, was it worth it to do basketball, what would you say? And she was like, I'm going to do track. Because she started to get it, that like, she started to really understand. It's like, oh, I want to be a part of something. I want to submit myself to a system because of the growth that could happen. And I've watched her make friendships, and now she's got a new friend group, and she's so excited about how her friends, and she's fitting in differently at school. And like all these different things happen from a small decision. Yeah, I'm going to show up to practice, even though it's embarrassing. I'm going to keep going back. I'm going to keep going back. I'm going to keep showing up. And then sooner or later, it's like, I'm pretty good at this. I like this. I want more of this. And now I'm sad that the season is over. And so if you're out there and you're like, I keep hitting my head, I would highly consider, whether it's our mastermind group or mentorship or something, what are you doing to create systems in your life to fall back on?
Man, that is a really good story. And thank you for sharing that. And as you were talking, I'm sitting here thinking, we're beginning of February, and I know that end of December, January 1st, like that's like the big like goal setting time, right? Where people like get out their things and they make plans and they figure things out and stuff. And I'm sure that, just as we are as people, that there are a lot of people out there that maybe sat down to make goals. And here we are 4 weeks into the year, and you're like, yeah, I've kind of forgot all about those, or I haven't been messing with that, or I haven't been, whatever. So here's some application. Here's something that I want you guys to do to listen, your listeners out there. Now, maybe you need to pause the podcast and come back to this. That's fine. But we want you to get some paper. I want you to sit down and I want you to write some things down. So first off, I want you to go and write down what those goals are that you had for the year. And if you haven't had any for the year, sit down and think about those and write some of those down. Okay. Now, after you get some of those figured out, you got those. Okay. Maybe you paused it. Okay. Here we go. Back to this. So what I want you to do is now think about the systems, the application, the ways that you can go about doing that. All right. If you're like, okay, I want to run a marathon, which would be ridiculous. I don't know why anyone would want to do that in the world. But if you're going to run a marathon, there are training packs, there are training programs that you can download that you can do that says that for the first week you need to run this amount, and for the second week you need to do this, and for the third so there is a plan laid out for you so that you can accomplish those things. So write down your goal, maybe one or two, and then start filling in how you're going to go about doing that. Okay. After you've done that, now I have a question for you. Are there things that you have written on that list that you're like, this is my goal, but I don't know how to get there? If you've written down that I have a goal, but I don't know how to get there, I am urging you, I am begging you, find someone that can help you get there. Find someone that can help you get there. Obviously, we have our mastermind program that for so many of you that we think that this is going to be the thing that will help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And we want you to sign up. We want you to be a part of that. But if it's not us, I beg you to find someone. Again, our message here at How to Film Weddings has always been to elevate the wedding film industry. And we want you to succeed in your goals. We want you to succeed in your business, whether we're the guys that help you or it's someone else that helps you. And if this little conversation today has gotten you excited and you're like, hey, I really could use some help, but Mastermind isn't right for me, or now is not the time, but I need to find someone else to do that. There are lots of educators in this industry that would love to help you. Or maybe it's not someone that's a quote unquote educator in the industry, but you have been following so-and-so that lives in Montana for 3 years and you just want to learn. Reach out. Like, people want to help for the most part if you just reach out and ask them. So that's my plea to you. That's my encouragement to you. Write your goals, set out those steps. And if in anywhere on there you're like, I don't know how to do this, find someone that you believe could help you get where you want to go so that you can get there.
Yeah. Very good stuff. I'm gonna quote a Chinese proverb real quick, Nick. Whoa. I know this is crazy. Whoa. I know, but the quote that comes to mind is "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." I know that's fortune cookie talk here, but like the 1,000-mile journey begins with a step, and I think that where we get hooked up in a society or log jammed is we say, well, we want to go over there, but I don't even know where to start. And just like my daughter with taking the step, okay, I'm going to do basketball. Like, if I would have tried to say, you're going to learn how to do this, and this, you're going to run this many miles, all this stuff, it would be like, no thanks. And it reminds me of like for instance, with my fitness journey, I thought to myself, what are some basic steps that I can just take to help me to get going? And it was like, I'm going to fill up a cup of water before bed and set it on my counter. So in the morning, when I wake up, I see this full cup of water that is at room temperature, so I know I can pound it. And I'm just going to start my day with the small, good decision of drinking 24 ounces of water before I do anything else. And what did that lead me to do? It was like, I'm going to drink that cup of water. I'm going to take 1 5-minute walk. I'm going to do I just started taking little steps and started saying, this is Is this something an athlete would do? Is this something someone who's fit would do? Yes, I'm not doing some crash course diet. And I started taking little steps. And what happens is you start to build that momentum. And what we're asking you is, what small disciplines can you repeat with consistency every day to lead to great achievement? Maybe that you need to turn your phone off. Maybe you need to download an app that is a timer that gives you the small step of, I'm going to edit in 30-minute increments, or I'm going to turn off notifications. And what really can speed up your process of getting to where you want to go is to have somebody help you that is where you want to be to determine those steps, just like Nick was saying. So if you want to get to a higher paying, wedding film business, or a more time freedom, or whatever it is, maybe you look at me and Nick and you say, wow, John, you just charged $30,000 for a wedding. That is what I want to do. Well, sure, I can show you step number one. I can look at your website. I can look at your films. I can give you that personal attention. And that's why we do Mastermind, because every Mastermind member gets a mentorship session with us and a film review from us. And, we're working in the trenches with you for a year, saying, here is the next step. And so if you're out there listening, you're like, my goodness, this is what I need. I need accountability. I need consistency. howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind. Take the step, one step, apply. Just like our friend Stanton Giles, it says, what can you do to be audacious for 10 seconds? Like, all of the big moments in our life come from like a 10-second just surge of adrenaline, and going up and asking that girl, on the first date was really hard for me, but I'm happy I did, because I'm married to her now and I've got 2 kids, and that was a great thing that I did. So take that step. The small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements. Nick, what do you have to add?
That's I think that's a good kind of note to end on here. We're really encouraging you, hopefully, to achieve your goals. And remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Such a great quote. And we want you all to rise to we want you to fall to the level of your systems, but we want your systems to be good. We want your systems to be in place to get you where you want to go, so that you can achieve your goals. That's what we want for you. And we don't want you to set these lofty goals and then you end up falling back and doing the same thing that you've been doing for the last 1, 2, 5, 10 years and complaining that, how is so-and-so over there doing this? They've been in business for 2 years. I've been in business for 10, and they're charging what? It can be so frustrating. And so again, we're going to plug our mastermind. Today is the last day where you can apply as we drop this. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind and take that first step. You want to go that 10,000 miles? Takes one step. And so just applying for Mastermind, taking that risk, taking that challenge, taking that whatever, be audacious, as Stanton would say, and take that first step and just apply and see what happens. And then we can go from there. So yes, today, as we drop this episode, is the last day to apply. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind. Fill out that application and we will get back to you shortly. Again, you're going to have options where you're going to see some emails from us, or you can set up a call with us and just talk with us about what Mastermind looks like and if it is right for you. So John, I am very excited right now about Mastermind, where we're going, the things that we're doing. I'm excited to do all of this with you, and I'm excited for all the people that we've had sign up so far. Just a few spots left with that. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in this week to the How to Film Weddings podcast. And until next time, we will see you.
See ya.